Sai Satcharitha reading, Chapter 7. Wonderful incarnation, behavior of Sai Baba, his yogic practices, his all pervasiveness and mercy, deeper devotee service, Master Kaparde's plague case, going to Pandarpur. Wonderful incarnation. Sai Baba knew all yogic practices. He was well versed in the six processes, including dhauti, stomach cleaning by a moistened piece of linen 3 inches in breadth and 22.5 inches in length. Kanda Yoga, that is separating his limbs and joining them again and Samadhi, etc. If you thought that he was a Hindu, he looked like a Yavan. If you thought him to be a Yavan, he looked like a pious Hindu. No one definitely knew whether he was Hindu or a Mohammedan. He celebrated the Hindu festival of Ram Navami with all due formalities and at the same time permitted the sandal procession of the Mohammedans. He encouraged wrestling bouts in his festival. When the Gokul Ashtami came, he got the Gopal Kala ceremony duly performed, and on Eid festivals, he allowed the Mohammedans to say their prayers namaz in his masjid. Once during a Mohram festival, some Mohammedans proposed to construct a tazia or tabut in the masjid. Keep it there for some days and afterwards take it in procession through village. Sai Baba allowed the keeping of the tabut for 4 days and on the fifth day got it removed from the masjid without the least compunction. If we say that he was a Mohammedan, his ears were pierced, that is, had holes according to Hindu custom. If you think that he was a Hindu, he advocated the practice of circumcision. Though, according to Mr. Nana Sahib Chandorkar, who observed him closely, he was not himself circumcised. Wide article in Sai Leela on Baba Hindu Ki Yavan by B.B. Dev, page 562. If you call him Hindu, he always lived in masjid. If Mohammedan, he always did the Duni sacred fire there. And the following things which are contrary to Mohammedan religion, that is grinding on the handmill, blowing of the conch and bells, oblation in the fire, bhajan, giving of food and worship of Baba's feet by means of aghya, that is water, were allowed there. If you think that he was a Mohammedan, the best Brahmins and Agnihotris, leaving aside their orthodox race, fell prostrate at his feet. Those who went to make enquiries about his caste were dumbfounded and were captured by his darshan. So, none could definitely decide whether Sai Baba was a Hindu or Mohammedan. There is no wonder for he who completely surrenders himself to the Lord by getting rid of his egoism and body consciousness, thus becomes one with him and has nothing to do with any questions or caste or nationality. Baba saw no difference between any two castes and even between beings. He took meat and fish with fakirs but did not grumble when dogs touched the dishes with their mouths. Such a unique and wonderful incarnation was Sai Baba. On account of merits in my past birth, I had the good fortune to sit at his feet and enjoy his blessed company. The joy and delight I derived therefrom was incomparable. In fact, Sai Baba was pure Anand and consciousness. I cannot sufficiently describe him, his greatness and uniqueness. He who took delight at its feet was established in his own self. Many sannyasis, sadhaks, and all sorts of men aspiring for salvation came to Sai Baba. And then he always walked, talked, and laughed with them, and always uttered Allah Malik, God is sole owner. He never liked discussion or disputation. He always was calm and controlled, though irritable at times, always preached Vedanta, and nobody knew till last who was Baba. Princes and poor people were treated alike by him. He knew the inmost secrets of all, and when he gave expression to them, all were surprised. He was the repository of all knowledge. Still, he feigned ignorance. He also liked dishonor. Such were the characteristics of Sai Baba. Though he had a human body, his deeds testified to his godhood. All people considered him as a god in Shirdi. Behavior of Sai Baba. Ignorant that I am, I cannot describe Baba's miracles. He got almost all the temples in Shirdi repaired. Through Tatya Patil, the temples of Shani, Ganpati, Shankar Parvati, village deity, and Maruti were put in order. His charity was also remarkable. The money he used to collect at Dakshina was freely distributed, rupees 20 to some, rupees 15 or 50 to others every day. The recipients thought that it was pure charity money, and Baba wished that it should be usefully employed. People benefited immensely by having Baba's darshan. Some became hale and hearty. Wicked people were turned into good ones. Leprosy was cured in some cases, and many got their desires fulfilled without any medicines being put in the eyes. Some blind men got back their sight. Some lame ones got their limbs. Nobody could see the end of this extraordinary greatness. His fame spread far and wide, and pilgrims from all sides flocked to Shirdi. Baba had his asan near the dhuni and always rested there. Asan, I mean, that's like Baba had his asan near the dhuni. Today, irkai. He sat there in meditation sometimes without a bath. He used to tie a small white turban on his head and white a clean daughter around his waist and a shirt on his body. This was his attire in the beginning. His first practiced medicine in the village. He examined patients and gave medicines. He was always successful and he became famous as a Hakim, who was a doctor. A curious case may be narrated here. One devotee had his eyes quite red and swollen. No doctor was available in Shirdi. The other devotees took him to Baba. In such cases, other doctors would use ointments, unguents, cow's milk, and camphorated drugs, etc. Baba's remedy was quite unique. He pounded some biba, some carpus anacardium, that is marking nuts, and made two balls of them and thrust them on in each eye of the patient and wrapped a cloth, bandaged round them. Next day, the bandage was removed and water was poured over them. The inflammation subsided and the pupils became white and clear. Though the eyes were very delicate, the biba caused no hurt but removed the disease in the eyes. Many such cases were cured. This is the only one instance in this regard. Baba's yogic practices. Baba knew all the processes and practices of yoga. I'll read it again. Auti Kriya or cleansing process. Every third day, Baba went into the well near banyan tree at a considerable distance from the masjid, washed his mouth and had a bath. On one occasion, he was seen throwing up his intestines, clean them outside, and place them on the jam tree for drying. There are there are people in Shirdi who have actually seen this and who have testified to this fact. Ordinary dhoti is done by a moistened piece of linen, 3 inches broad, 22.5 feet long. This piece is gulped down the throat and allowed to remain in the stomach for about half an hour for being reacted there and then taken out. But Baba's dhoti was quite unique and extraordinary. Point number 2, Kanda Yoga. In this practice, Baba extracted the limbs from his body and left them separated at different places in the masjid. Once a gentleman went to the masjid and saw the limbs of Baba lying in separate places. He was terrified. He first thought of running into the village officers and informing them Baba being hacked to the pieces and murdered. He thought that perhaps he would be held responsible as he was the first informant and knew something of the affair. So he kept silent. But the next day he went to the masjid and he was very much surprised to see Baba hale and healthy, hearty as before. He thought that what he had seen the previous day was only a dream. But Baba practiced yoga since his infancy and nobody knew or guessed the proficiency he had attained in it. He charged no fees for his cures, became renowned and famous by virtue of his merits, gave health to many poor and suffering person. This famous doctor of doctors cared not for his interest, but always worked for the good and welfare of others, himself suffering unbearable and terrible pain in many a time in the process. One such instance I will relate now, which will show all pervasive and the most merciful character of Sai Baba. Baba's all pervasiveness and mercy. In the year 1910, Baba was sitting near the duni of Diwali and warming himself. He put firewood in the duni, which was burning brightly. A little later, instead of pushing logs of wood, Baba pushed his arm into the duni. His arm was scorched and burnt. This was noticed by the errand boy of Madhav and also by Madhav Rao Deshpande, who was called Shama. They once ran to Baba and Madhav Rao clasped Baba by his waist from behind and dragged him forcibly backward and asked, Deva, why done this? Then Baba came to his senses and replied, the wife of a blacksmith had at some distance place was working the bellows of a furnace. Her husband called her, forgetting that a child was on her lap. She got up hastily and the child slipped into a furnace. I immediately thrust my hand into the furnace and saved the child. I do not mind my arm being burned, but I am glad that the life of child was saved. Baba. Leper devotee service. On hearing the news of Baba's hand being burnt from Shama, mother of Deshpande, Mr. Nana Sahib Chandorkar, accompanied by the famous Dr. Paramanand of Mumbai, with his medical outfit consisting of ointments, lint, and bandages, etc., rushed to Shirdi and requested Baba to allow Dr. Paramanand to examine the arm and dress the wound caused by the burn. This was refused. Ever since the burn arm was dressed by Bagoji Shinde, a leper devotee, his treatment consisted in massaging the burnt part with ghee. That is, like ghee is prepared by melting butter and boiling it for some time and then filtering it. And then placing a leaf over it and bandaging it tightly. Mr. Nana Sahib Chandorkar solicited Baba many a time to unfasten the bandages, get the wound examined, dress it and treated by Dr. Paramanand with the object that it may heal fast. Dr. Paramanand himself made a similar request to Baba, postponed it by saying that Allah was his doctor and did not allow his arm to be examined. Dr. Pramanand's medicine were not exposed to the air of Shirdi and they remained intact, but he had a good fortune of getting darshan of Baba. Bagoji was allowed to treat the hand daily. After some days, the arm healed and were all happy. Still, we do not know whether any trace of pain was left or not. Every morning, Bagoji went through this program of untying the bandages, massaging the arm with ghee, and tightly bandaging it again. This went on till Sai Baba Samadhi death. Sai Baba perfect Siddha, Sai Baba of perfect Siddha, as he was allowed to the Upasana service of Bagoji to go on to uninterrupted in all along. But when Baba started off the Lendi, Bagoji held an umbrella over him and accompanied him. Every morning when Baba sat near the post close to the knee, Bagoji was present and started his services. The Bagoji was a sinner in his past birth. He was suffering from leprosy, his fingers had shrunk, his whole body was put off pus and smelling badly. Though outwardly he seemed so fortunate, he was very lucky and happy, for he was premier servant of Baba and got benefit of his company. Master Kaparde's plague case. I shall now relate another incident of Baba's wonderful Leela. Mr. Kaparde, the wife of Dada Sahib Kaparde of Amravati, was staying at Shirdi with her younger son for some days. One day, the son was staying at Shirdi with her younger son for some days. One day, the son got high fever, which further developed into bubonic plague. The mother was frightened and felt most uneasy. She thought of leaving the place for Amravati and went near Baba in the evening. And when he was coming near the Bada, now Samadhi Mandir, in his evening rounds, for asking his permission, she informed him in a terrible tone that her dear young son was down with plague. Baba spoke kindly and softly to her, saying that the sky is beset with clouds, but they will melt and pass off, and everything will be smooth and clear. So saying, he lifted up his kafni up to the waist and showed to all the present four fully developed bubos as a big as white added, see how I have to suffer for my devotees, their difficulties are mine. Seeing their unique and extraordinary deed, that is Leela, the people were convinced as to how the saints suffer pains of the devotees. The hearts of the saints is softer than wax. It is soft in and out as butter. They love as devotees without any idea of gain and regard them as true relatives. So this is what it is. Going to Pandharpur. I shall close this chapter now after relating a story illustrating how Sai Baba loved his devotees and anticipated their wishes and movements. Mr. Nana Sahib Chandorkar, who was a great devotee of Sai Baba, was at Malandar and Nandurbarg in Kandesh. He got an idea to transfer Pandharpur. His devotion to Sai Baba bore fruit as he got an order to go and stay Pandharpur, which is regarded as the Bhuvai Kunda, heaven on earth. Nana Sahib had to take immediate charge, so he left for the place without even writing and informing anybody at Shirdi. He wanted to give a surprise visit to Shirdi his Pandarpur and see this salute his Vithoba Baba and then proceed with further. Nobody knew the Nana Sahib departure for Shirdi, but Sai Baba knew all about this. His eyes were everywhere, omniscient. As soon as Nana Sahib approached Nimikaun, a few miles from Shirdi, there was a Nair style in the masjid at Shirdi. Baba was sitting and talking with Masalpati, Appa Shinde and Kashiram when he once said, "Let us all four do some bhajans. The doors of Pandari are open. Let's bring sing merrily." Then they go to begin to sing chorus and the Baba of the song will be. I have to go to Pandarpur and I have to stay here on there, for it is the house of my Lord. Baba sang and the devotees followed him. After a short while, Nana Sahib came there with his family, prostrated before Baba and requested him to accompany them to Pandarpur and stay with them there. This solicitation was not necessary as the devotees told Nana Sahib that Baba was already in the mood of going to Pandarpur and staying there. Hearing and Nana Sahib was moved and felt at Baba's feet. Then, after getting Baba's permission, Udi, the second blessings, Nana Sahib left for Pandarpur. There is no end to Baba's stories, but let me now stop here, reserving for the next chapter other topics such as importance of human life, Baba's living on arms, Baijabai service, and other stories. So this is about anybody who didn't hear it properly. The last but one para. This solicitation was not necessary as the devotees told Nana Sahib that Baba was already in the mood of going to Bandarpur and staying there. Hearing this, Nana Sahib was moved and fell at Baba's feet. Then, after getting Baba's permission, Udi, the secretaries and blessings of Nana Sahib left for Bandarpur. So, this is about Sai's Satcharitha, chapter 7. Bow to see Shai. Peace be to all. Om Shri Sai Ram.